Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we got another news video here to discuss. We're going to do a quick news video here discussing a coaching change, a small trade, some waiver update, a couple of signings, and a player has been held out due to trade labor relations. So we could see a trade with that player in the not too distant future. We'll get to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to the video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing today's video. Now today I'm going to do a quick news video here. We had a lot of news over the weekend and I want to sort of split it up a little bit here. So I'm going to do a quick video here discussing some of the bigger pieces of news that happened over the weekend. I'm going to start with the big piece of news that we had yesterday. And that was another coaching change just happened. This time in New Jersey after a bad stretch over the past couple of games and them falling out of the playoff race a little bit. The New Jersey Devils have fired Lindy Ruff after a really rough patch over the past couple of games. So not great stuff there. We know there was a lot of talk, especially from the fans, that they wanted a coaching change and they wanted Lindy Ruff fired. He did sign a contract extension. I think it was a 1 or 2 year contract extension at the beginning of the season. So his contract extension is now gone with him being fired. So interesting stuff there. Ruff had a really good tenure with the Devils. He actually was a head coach for quite some time in other places. He was an assistant head coach in Florida from 93 to 97. Then he was a head coach in Buffalo for almost 16 years from 97 to 2013. Then with Dallas, he was a head coach from 2013 to 2017. Then he was an assistant coach with the Rangers from 17 to 20. And then from July 9th in 2020 to March 4th in 2024, he was a head coach of the New Jersey Devils. So he was a former player. He's been a long time coaching. He's definitely going to probably get maybe one more opportunity. I'm not exactly sure, but Ruff was a really good head coach. Jack Hughes liked him very much, but the Devils have not been having some really good results lately, and they need some sort of a fresh change. Hopefully the coaching bump can help this team get a little bit better than they have been in the past, but still, it might have been the move they needed to do to try and get the season back on track for the Devils. So Lindy Ruff is now out as head coach of the New Jersey Devils, and Travis Green is new head coach of the New Jersey Devils, at least on the interim basis. He was given the interim tag. He was an associate coach with the New Jersey Devils from June in 2023 to just right now. So he's been an associate coach for the last year. So now he's the interim head coach as of right now. So an interesting move there by Devils. Travis Green does have head coaching experience. He was the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks from 2017 to 2021. Helped them in the bubble when they went to the second round, the bubble playoffs. So he knows what it takes to help this team try and make a run at it. So hopefully the change is good for the New Jersey Devils. I think this is like the 7th or 8th coaching change we've had in the NHL so far this year. I mean, you had Edmonton, you had LA, you had St. Louis, you had Minnesota, you had New York Islanders, you had Ottawa, you now have New Jersey. If you want to go as far back as training camp, you also have Mike Babcock, and there might be 1 or 2 I might be forgetting as well. So some interesting moves there, but still, it's an interesting move. So the Devils, feeling that they really can't win right now with Lindy Ruff as the head coach, they move Lindy Ruff, they fire him. His contract extension, which I think was a 1 or 2 year extension that he signed early in the season, is now gone. So really bad stuff there for Lindy Ruff, who has been head coach of the New Jersey Devils the past 4 seasons. And then the associate coach, Travis Green, is now the interim head coach. And after having some head coaching experience with the Vancouver Canucks, he's now going to be becoming the new head coach for the time being for the New Jersey Devils. I think it's the first team that's had one of these coaching changes in season that didn't sign the new coach to an extension. I think LA has their interim tag with Hiller. St. Louis has their interim tag with, I can't remember who his name was, but their new head coach. Ottawa with their new coach with interim tag too, and now Green with New Jersey's interim tag. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how these guys do, and if any of them are able to take off the interim tag and sign a new extension after the season. But interesting move there for the Devils, as Lindy Ruff is now out as the New Jersey Devils head coach, and Travis Green is in. So we'll have to wait and see if that was the right move there for New Jersey Devils, but it was an interesting move nonetheless, and we have yet another coaching change just a tiny bit before our playoffs. Now we also do have a small trade to discuss between the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche. I forgot to mention this on Saturday, but the New Jersey Devils have acquired MacDermid from the Colorado Avalanche for Zakhar Bardakov, and 2024 7th round pick. This isn't really a big deal. Bardakov is a center playing over in the KHL so far this year, he's put up 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points in 51 games after having 6 goals and 12 assists, 18 points in 42 games last year. So he's regressed a little bit. So it's interesting there. But still, this is a very fantastic prospect. He was a 7th round pick back in the 2021 draft by Devils. He may eventually be able to be like a solid bottom 6 scorer for the Avalanche, but I wouldn't guarantee it. So some interesting move there, but it's a decent prospect that the Avalanche are able to get for a depth defenseman who's probably wouldn't be back for the Avalanche after this year. So an interesting move there for the Avalanche. They also get a 2024 7th round pick, which adds some more draft capital to the Avalanche team. So some interesting stuff there. Meanwhile, for MacDermid, he can play on the defensive end, both sides. He can play a forward position if need be. He's been a very versatile player for the Colorado Avalanche over the past couple of years. So far this year, only gone to 29 games, putting up 2 goals and 2 points. Over the past couple of years, he's gotten to 44 games last year and 58 the year prior with the Avalanche, putting up 6 points last year and 5 points the year before. So he's not really a everyday NHL defenseman, but he's a solid 7th D. And on a banged up blue line like the New Jersey Devils have, he can be a fantastic piece for them. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. But this is a fantastic move by the Devils. So just really to recap here, MacDermid is traded to the New Jersey Devils by the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for Badarkov and a 2024 7th round pick. It's not a huge deal, but the Avalanche get a decent prospect who may eventually be able to work out into like a solid bottom 6 forward and a 7th round pick. In exchange, the New Jersey Devils get some depth on the defensive end. So really good trade there. So the Devils are able to get a little bit more tougher on the defensive end, and then the Colorado Avalanche got a decent prospect and a late round pick. We went to a couple of signings. We had 2 really big signings over the weekend. First, Thomas Novak, who's a center with the Nashville Predators, has signed a 3-year deal with the Nashville Predators, a 3-year contract extension with an AAV of $3.5 million, and he'll begin to start next year. Now, Novak was called up last year. He did fantastic, putting up 17 goals and 43 points in 51 games. So far this year, hasn't done as good as last year, but he's been a fantastic player again this year, putting up 13 goals and 34 points in 51 games. He's worked out really well as a solid 3rd-line center, maybe 2nd-line center. There was a lot of talk that he was getting a ton of interest on the market. I know Elliot Freeman mentioned Vancouver and the New York Rangers. I know there was a lot of other teams who were potentially involved in a trade like that, and there was a lot of talk that if Novak didn't have an extension that the Predators would trade him, but they do get their extension. So $3.5 million, a bump from $800,000 is fantastic for Novak. I think he's definitely worth it with the way he's played over the past year and a half. So I think this is a really good deal for Novak. With the Predators having the abundance of cap space that they do, I think this is a decent deal for them. I'm not saying it's a great deal. I thought Novak probably would have gotten $3 million, maybe $2.5 million on the open market. So I think $3.5 may be a tiny bit of an overpayment, given he doesn't have a huge stretch of runway playing consistently at the NHL level, except for this year and last year. So I can't say it's going to age extremely well, but this is a fantastic deal for Predators. Instead of moving Novak before a trade deadline, they're able to sign him and keep him for the next 3 seasons. So that's a really good deal for the Nashville Predators, and hopefully Novak will be able to remain the 2nd or 3rd line center for that team for the next handful of seasons. And then we also saw another interesting signing, and that was Jonathan Quick with New York Rangers. Now, I know a lot of people were worried about Quick after they signed him in the offseason. He didn't finish overly well in LA. He did play a few games that looked all right in Vegas, but he didn't really get very much of a stretch. So I know a lot of people were worried that Quick wouldn't do overly well in New York, but contrary to that, he's been fantastic. He's played 21 games this year with the Rangers, put up a 2.45 GAA, a .916 save percentage, and at some points has looked better than Shesterkin. He's looked fantastic. So he signs a 1-year contract extension with an AAV of $1.275 million. So it's once again not an expensive deal. It's a little bit of a pay bump from his $800,000 that he was on right now, but it's a decent pay bump. He's definitely earned the pay bump, and the Rangers have liked Quick so much they want to keep him as their backup going forward. So this is a pretty good move. The Rangers, like I said, still have Shesterkin, so they don't really need a starter, but with the way Quick's played, having him as a solid backup, it's a fantastic move by the Rangers. I think this is going to be a fantastic deal for the Rangers. Once again, if Quick can replicate what he's done, or at least then close to it next year on that sort of a deal, that would be a fantastic move for the New York Rangers. So very good stuff there for the Rangers. Very good signing, and I think this signing is going to be aging extremely well. And I think as much as everyone was a little bit worried of Quick, what will he do after he gets his new deal, he's been fantastic for the Rangers, and I'm not surprised in the least that they wanted signing him to be the backup for next next year. So interesting move there for the Rangers to sign Quick as their backup for next year, and the Predators to sign Novak to a 3-year extension to keep him in Nashville. So some really interesting things. And then we had another interesting piece of news, this time on the waivers, as the Washington Capitals over the weekend waived Evgeny Kuznetsov. Now, Kuznetsov came out of the NHL Players Assistant Program. We've seen a lot of these players start to come out of the Players Assistant Program. Nutrition's going to be back soon. We've seen a couple of other guys already clear. So some interesting stuff there. But instead of going to the team, he was placed on waivers, and he cleared waivers and was sent down to the minors. So it seems like they're going to try and give him a fresh start. According to Elliot Friedman, he doesn't think there'll be a trade. I think it's still a possibility, but it's very, very unlikely. He makes $7.8 million on the cap right now. So if the Capitals were to retain 50% of his salary in the offseason and move him in the offseason, they would bump his cap hit down to 3.9, which is a decent amount of cap hit for a guy who can play second or third line center minutes. But with the way he's played this past couple of years, it's not something that I think a lot of teams will be willing to do. So Elliot Friedman does think that there's two options here. He thinks that there's most likely going to be a buyout in the offseason, which I think is quite possible. They would save the Capitals some cap space right now. It'll give them a cap penalty over next year, but it wouldn't be a huge, and given the fact that Kuznetsov hasn't played overly well, it might help that team. And on top of that, he also mentions the fact that they could also go for a contract termination, sort of like Zadina did with the Detroit Red Wings, but that's a separation that's leaving money on the table. He's not overly sure if Kuznetsov would want to do that, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. But Kuznetsov has been placed on waivers. He's cleared waivers. It sounds like he'll play in the minors for the time being, and it sounds like Kuznetsov's time in Washington is coming to an end. Even though it could potentially be a trade, it sounds more likely that buyout will happen in the offseason, so we'll have to wait and see on that. And on top of that, just to wrap things up here, yesterday before the Seattle Kraken Calgary Flames game, we saw Alex Wennberg be taken out of the lineup, and he was scratched due to trade-related reasons, so it sounds like a Alex Wennberg trade is coming in the not-too-distant future. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. By the time this hits YouTube, it may wind up already happening, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. But Wennberg could definitely potentially be traded in the not-too-distant future, and I would not be shocked if by the time this hits YouTube, Wennberg has already been traded. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. But definitely let your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What do you think about Ruff? Is it the right move for the New Jersey Devils to fire him and bring in Travis Green? And do you think that could save their season? Do you like the small deal the New Jersey Devils made with MacDermid? Do you like the Novak signing? Do you like the Quick signing? I think both of those were pretty good signings. What do you think about Kuznetsov hitting waivers? Are you surprised that he did hit waivers? And where do you think he could go in the offseason if he was to be bought out? Where do you think would be a best fit for him? And on top of that, where do you think Wennberg goes if the trade hasn't happened by the time that hits YouTube? Where do you think he could go? Definitely let your guys' thoughts on that down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video, and if you're not to subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. I've never been able to with all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing all I was discussing in today's video. Also a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So if you check that out, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And I kind of see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.